On the bench today, an SM-220 Station Monitor. Did not expect to be doing a video on an SM-220. It was part of a lot that I received. I was told that it was working. Guess what? It doesn't. So when I fired her up, the display sort of came up and I was able to start reading a signal. And then I heard snap, crackle, pop noises. I quickly shut it off, brought it onto the test bench, and did another very quick power up with the covers removed. And the noises were coming from around those high voltage capacitors. And those capacitors are actually oil filled. And to my surprise, I wasn't aware that was the case with a SM-220. But it doesn't quite show up on the video here. If I can sort of get this light right, and if I can get that to stay in focus, you can kind of see it there actually. You can see where the oil has been leaking around onto this board. So anyway, very important that I shut it down, because when you get a heavy current draw like that, the current draw can damage other components around those capacitors, which aren't designed to take so much current. So anyway, new parts have turned up. Somewhat difficult to find these days, but I'm going to replace with polypropylene capacitors. You can sort of see here in this package that I obtained. Unfortunately, very hard to find polypropylene caps for sale in Australia. They don't come from the regular wholesale place that I buy them for. So these were DigiKey or Mauser. Where did I get these from? Mauser. Yeah, I bought them from Mauser. And yeah, I had to add some other stuff to the purchase as well. I got these high voltage capacitors that are really good for changing out the plate supply capacitors in Yaesu and Kenwood hybrid radios. That brought the total purchase price up to about $76, which then allows for free shipping, so it becomes somewhat worth it. But anyway, yeah, I was told that the SM-220 worked perfectly fine. It did not. So I got my solder sucker. Electronic solder sucker from Mr. Chinese Dude. I really would prefer a Harco, but Mr. Chinese Dude isn't too bad these days, actually. I'm not going to detail this whole process, obviously, but we find the other side of our capacitors. In this case, that point right there. Apply very carefully. Hit that bad boy up. Suck it all away. Keep going till we get them all out. Alright, they're out. You can see in the light there, a bit of oil around that one. Oil around this one. And these other ones here looked particularly bad. That one there, that's very leaky. You can see it dripping right there. Nasty stuff that, shouldn't be touching with my bare hands, but anyway, while they're dirty, I'm going to flip this over and give it a good clean with some isopropyl alcohol. You can actually kind of see as well here on the circuit board, if you look about there, wet oil directly on the board. Absolutely horrendous. Right, quick comparison of the old and the new. Here's our new polypropylene capacitors, 0.1 microfarad, 2000 volts, as well as 0.1 microfarad, 1000 volts. Circuit board is drying up after a clean-up, getting the majority of that nasty stuff out of there. Get these new ones in. Alright, our new polypropylene capacitors are in. Time for a power up. Bring this variac voltage up slowly. Sorry about the bad camera work. Okay, up to about 200 volts. 220 or so. No snap, crackle, pop. Bang on 240. There we go. She is operating. Yeah, before I never got to this stage. There was horrible crackling sounds coming from around this section, and the display will flicker and dim, so I just quickly shut her off. And after all that, after ordering those capacitors from Mauser in the US, because I'm here in Australia, there is one other 0.1 microfarad 1500 volt capacitor here across the transformer that I missed. Yeah. Anyway, that's another excuse to order more bits and pieces from Mauser, I guess. Maybe some nice Allen Bradley style resistors or something. The other job to do will be to replace these broken nylon couplers. Another thing that wasn't disclosed is that these controls don't do anything. And they just spin in their pots, spinning loosely on those nylon couplers. So I do have some, thankfully, from the late K4 EAA. His wife is still shipping them on his behalf. I think it's been 4 or 5 years since we lost Ken now. Still many good parts available from there. So anyway, it's a sad state of affairs these days in ham radios. People asking absolute top dollar for equipment. Can't even be bothered to switch it on and make sure if it works. So, yeah. Out of this particular lot, I had to do that TS-820 that you saw earlier on. This SM-220. And the TL-922 arrived with shorted tubes, because the amplifier did not have enough padding around on the inside to protect the amplifier. Also a TS-830S with a 27 MHz modification that wasn't disclosed. And also hadn't been switched on in quite a while as well. Good thing is I can fix all of this. Bad thing, dishonest people. 73s from VK3 USA. And one last quick segment, just to show the new couplers installed. Very high quality stuff. Machined by the man himself, K4 EAA. Ken Kamishi, I never knew how to say his last name correctly. I had the email exchanges with him over the years. He gave me a lot of good tips about the Kenwood hybrid equipment. You can see there, kind of on that angle, how it is split. And this one there's a crack. Also split. On the TS-830S and on the 530 series, there's one of these and a very hard to access point of the final cage. If you don't know the little trick, they're quite hard to get out. Notorious for breaking on that series. Anyway, I'll have to restock myself of these. Because they're the sort of thing you definitely want to have for a bad day. And here we go. Back where it belongs. With the hybrid setup. On band scope mode right now. Chinese propaganda stations absolutely everywhere, beaming their signal into the Pacific. Ever since the Radio Australia transmissions were closed down. An absolute short-sighted decision that was. Thankfully, Radio New Zealand International are there still broadcasting into the Pacific, but anyway. Yeah, this is how a band scope worked before we had something like this bad boy. So I can widen it out. And adjust again. Have a good look at what's going on around the place. Spent about half an hour or so playing around with the resistors in the band scope pan adapter to get these 25 kilohertz and 100 kilohertz, or 20 kilohertz, 100 kilohertz, and whatnot. It changes depending on what sweep range you have. Anyway, took some time to get these all centered. Yeah, that's pretty good. So anyway, I reckon we'll go to about 215 here. I haven't got my dummy though hooked up right now, so go across to monitor trap. Monitor. And yeah, I don't care about QRMing a Chinese propaganda station. No one's gonna lose any sleep over this, at least in democratic nations. Audio 1, 2, 3. Hello 1, 2, 3. Audio 1, 2. So that's a nice clean signal right there. Audio, you can see nice and smooth round edges there. 1, 2, 3 as we transmit. I don't particularly have that much gain here right now either, so let me lock on this microphone and crank that up a bit. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Oh yeah. I was doing some testing before. Audio 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's about where I normally run the processing on this. Audio 1, 2, 3. So that's a nice clean punchy signal right there. No flat topping. 1, 2, 3. Audio. And then what we can do, I'm going to go all knobs to the right and show why all knobs to the right is such a huge problem in ham radio these days. Audio, yeah, look at that. Audio 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Audio, that's not what you want your signal to be looking like. Although it didn't look as bad. Oh, I didn't have the processor engaged. Okay, now, yeah, that's really, really bad. 1, 2, 3. That is a distorted signal. So I'm going to stop transmitting right there. Okay, I'm going to set my mic gain back to about halfway. I normally run the compression at about 1/4 with the MC50. Do a quick check. 1, 2, 3. Probably back that off there slightly. Audio, sorry about the bad camera work as well. It is what it is with my setup, but anyway, back to our nice round edges. So once again, that is the SM-220 and how you can monitor your transmission and receive signals as well. Very handy little thing. So, once again, 7.3 from VK3 USA, VK2 XXL.